The following announcement is paid for by the Wrestling with Nerds.
From Mordor to Hogwarts to Gotham, the nerds have come together to create a show for nerds by nerds. Join nerds doing nerd things as they talk about all things nerdy. Stay up to date on the show by liking the Nerds Doing Nerd Things Facebook page.
Hey there, I'm John St. John, and you are watching the Nerds Doing Nerd Things podcast.
What's going on, wrestling nerds? And we are talking everything about Hulk Hogan. You're watching the Wrestling with Nerds podcast. And there's Ryan, there's TJ, the guru Ryan Fry, and the other half of J&J Security TJ. Ryan, we're talking about somebody who had a recent anniversary in wrestling. And don't give it away with your hat.
Something mean, Gene. You don't have to remind me and my Hulkamaniacs.
I didn't know that was happening. Did not know that was happening. Bad Ryan. Scared the shit out of me. But Ryan, why are we talking about Hulk Hogan?
Because why not we talk about the greatest of all time? Does that make me a heel?
No, hold on. On. TJ, I'm sorry. I hear you having a issue with that.
No. Fuck John Cena.
I wasn't even talking about John Cena. You were pointing at your shirt.
The reason
The GOAT.
the reason we are
God mode.
the reason we're talking about the immortal one himself is January the 23rd, 1984. Hulkamania was born in the World Wrestling Federation. He defeated the Iron Sheik as I was gonna say if fucking AJ starts eating a dog treat, I'm quitting.
They do taste like bacon.
Okay.
I don't want to know why you know what bacon is.
But anyhow. Hulk Hogan defeated the Iron Sheik at Madison Square Garden to win the World Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Championship, and went on a pretty long reign as champion. The reason is for that, and yes, I am a Hulkamaniac through and through.
Oh,
I've been a Hulk Hogan fan since the day I was born and started watching wrestling. I don't care what your thoughts or opinions on him are. I mean, you guys, yes, but outside world, you can love him, hate him. I don't care. Everybody has their transgressions and bad timing and says the wrong thing at the wrong time, and for some reason in today's world, he is a villain for things that he said in situations that nobody else or those people probably have never faced in their life. And it's kind of like Hulk Hogan gets criminalized for using inappropriate language at a really dark time in his life. But if you go make a Google search, if you type in on YouTube even a certain interview with Teddy Long where the guy that gets, and I'm not throwing him under the bus, but I'm just so sick of hearing it. There's a guy that's the 16-time world champion. Everybody claims he's the greatest of all time. Works circles around Hogan. And I'm not denying any of that. If you go on YouTube and you look up a thing of Teddy Long, he talks in an interview where Ric Flair used the exact same words that Hulk Hogan used to Teddy Long's face. And not a damn person ever mentions anything about it.
No shit.
Because Hulk Hogan's was filmed without his knowledge in a private setting, he is a villain. And there's nothing that Hulk Hogan has ever done for the business that didn't help the business. I don't care. Yes, I'm on my soapbox. This is my Ryback speech. There's, there's,
Well,
there's
no, we
not,
like this guy.
there's not one. You can say you're not a Hulk Hogan fan, but you can say that you're a wrestling fan. Or you can't say you're not a Hulk Hogan fan and not but be a wrestling fan. Because 9 times out of 10, no matter how you spin it, Hulk Hogan is the reason you're a wrestling fan.
I agree
Hulk
with that.
Hogan, Hulk Hogan was the lead guy in the WWE in the 80s. And there's not a single person. I respect the hell out of everybody from the 80s, but there is not a single person on that roster in the WWF at that time that could have catapulted the WWF where it went the way Hulk Hogan did.
I mean,
WWF,
Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong. Hulk Hogan was the first house to house name that people knew from the pro wrestling
um,
world.
to the entertainment world, yes. In my opinion, mainstream wise, yes. Um, I don't think anybody could have done the role that he did. Uh, I know a lot of people say Randy Savage could have been. Randy Savage wasn't larger than life.
He was actually
He
kind of tiny.
he's physically wasn't larger than life in an era where it was all about the big man. Sorry, it's the way it was. Get over it. You vanilla midgets. It was. um, it was all about the big men. Andre could have filled that role, but what couldn't Andre do? Couldn't speak very well.
Mm.
So it kind of made hard to get Andre to do interviews when you can't understand anything he says. Hulk Hogan was the perfect fit to be the guy to lead the WWF into the mainstream media world. Then you get the shtick of, oh well, he couldn't wrestle. Guys, I hate to tell you this, but if you didn't live in the 80s or the 90s and how things worked, it will never make sense to you. Because back then, nobody gave a shit what they did in the ring. It was all about the pop and circumstances of them getting into the ring. It was the way they looked. It was the way they dressed. It was their promos. Hulk Hogan didn't need to be a technical wrestler to draw a house.
But he was. Go look at his Japan shit.
Well, that's the shtick. It's kind of funny how that works, AJ. It's well, Ric Flair was a wrestling genius and a god and all this stuff. Hulk Hogan didn't need to wrestle. But yeah, go look at his Japan stuff. Oh yeah, I knew you were gonna say go look at his Japan stuff. But Hulk Hogan didn't need to wrestle to fill out a house. Ric Flair had to wrestle, promote, and hope that the house got filled. In his era, in his generation, in his area, he had to hope and pray that the arena got filled. All the headline, the yawning outside of an arena had to say was the World Wrestling Federation featuring Hulk Hogan, and that place was going to be packed.
So Hulk Hogan is a 4-time Hall of Famer. 4-time. Yeah. WWE individual, WWE NWO. Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame and Museum, class of 2003. And we talked about Japan. IWGP 1 time. IWGP League Tournament 1 time. MSG Tag League Tournament with his tag team partner 2 years in a row, Antonio Inoki. And then he gets inducted into the Greatest 18 Club, which is their version of the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and to put that in reference or more notable stuff, Hulk Hogan is the first IWGP World Champion ever. It was the tournament, but he was the first champion. Him in Japan was over like Rover. Inoki loved him. Stan Hansen loved him. He ended up putting Stan Hansen in a No Holds Barred movie because of his work in Japan with him. And you got to think. People don't think before they speak a lot on the internet, and it gets really annoying.
You ain't kidding.
But anybody you interview that didn't get a push in wrestling is always gonna blame the guy that was on top.
You mean Ryback?
No, fuck Ryback. He's a piece of shit. But anybody, you've heard the interviews with Bad News Barry Brown, who talks about Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan didn't like me. It might have been because I was black or whatever the reason was. No, maybe the reason was because you wasn't entertaining or any good. Could possibly be the reason. I always hate the stigma. It's always the ones that were like the very bottom of the card or the ones that are bashing the top guys, and then the internet takes it and runs with it.
Mm-hmm.
But Hulk Hogan is a special human being no matter what. I don't care what anybody says. There's a lot of shit that I personally, I've made this statement well known, and my friends know it to be true. I've never got a chance to meet Hulk Hogan yet. I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, as I stand here at 36 years old, I will probably, when that happens, I will probably sob like a 4-year-old schoolgirl.
We'll make sure you have Depends on.
I didn't say I was gonna piss myself, you weirdo. I just said I was gonna cry.
Oh, I thought you said shit yourself. Fuck, that's wrong 3 times.
Hulk Hogan.
That's
Hulk
it. It's
Hogan
trifecta.
is,
Get off the show.
All right, but
I mean, yeah, I it's just weird. It's fun because I wanted to do this episode because it was his 40th anniversary and the thoughts of what Hulkamania was and how fun it was for a kid at my age. I mean, I wish I would have got him on. I meant to ask him, but he had a very important game tonight to pay attention to because I was going to get my cousin on here. We grew up together a lot, and I was such a Hulkamaniac and such a Hogan fan that I got picked on as a kid. And my defense mechanism to getting picked on was to Hulk up. As funny as that sounds, that's what I did. And it's not like I didn't know I did, but that's what I did to try to beat the situation of being bullied and picked on.
I mean, now it's
I
cool
would
to
Hulk
like
up.
this stuff.
I would Hulk up. I mean, I had, when it comes to Hulk Hogan, anything and everything Hulk Hogan from the age of 3 to I'm 36. So I mean, I had the Hulk Hogan, the sweat headband. I had I'm surprised TJ didn't pull it out to piss me off, but I had the Hulk Hogan wrestling buddy. I had the Hulk Hogan.
Give it time.
I had the Hulk Hogan. The WWF used to have the bedroom slippers that had the wrestlers' heads on them that were plastic or rubber. I had the Hogan ones. I had a Hulk Hogan book bag. Anything Hulk Hogan I had. This is how bad it was. I was a kid taking kids' vitamins, and I took the Hulk Hogan vitamin. My mom had to stop me from taking them because I kept eating them like they were candy because I thought I was going to grow up and be Hulk Hogan.
I mean, didn't he say eat your vitamins? You were just listening to him.
Unfortunately, we learned later on that they were different kind of vitamins, but it's okay. So,
holy
I
shit!
want to go with this. You have Hogan debut. Hogan becomes Hulkamania, goes on a tear. The funnier part is from 84 to probably, well, till WrestleMania 3, I never knew growing up that Andre was a good guy. I always thought Andre was a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
So when my first matches of Hulk Hogan, I've said it before, was a VHS tape. It was just called Hulk Hogan's Greatest Matches, and it was like 6 matches. It was Slaughter and Hogan at MSG in what they called a Desert Storm match. Hogan versus Undertaker at Tuesday Night in Texas. Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan in Paris, France. And I can't remember what the other one. I knew there was another one, but the last match on the thing was Hogan Andre WrestleMania 3. And that tape alone, watching it, I could literally mute their match and do color for the whole match.
Jesus Christ,
I've
Ryan.
watched it. I've watched it that much, and I love that match. But yeah, I never knew Andre was a good guy. So when I got older and started watching stuff and realizing that Hogan and Andre were a tag team for 3 years and took on the Heenan family, it was pretty cool. Um, Hogan and Savage was always, of course, the greatest things to watch. You wanted, and then when, of course, we've already talked about the Mega Powers and what happened there. Check it out. It was our very first episode, I believe.
Was.
To call back on that one. TJ, you and me are the same age, or close to the same age. Were you? I mean, you have the wrestling buddy, of course, but were you a Hulk Hogan guy?
There would be no TJ in this podcast without Hulkamania.
Gotcha.
Let's put it that way. First and foremost, first Christmas where I wasn't 2 months old. There is a VHS tape in existence somewhere of me getting said wrestling buddy and proceeding to have a match, if you will, with said Hulkamania wrestling buddy Hulk Hogan. Yeah. At one point,
Yeah.
I had the belt that was on the wrestling buddy. I had that a little noise changer voice box thing. Yeah. There was nothing beat the shirt rip, dude. Nothing. Still to this day.
Well, do it with that one.
And I will. And I
wanna see
will.
it.
Yeah,
No,
do it
fuck
that
you.
one. Yeah, do it that one.
I'll do a sock. I'm just kidding.
Probably
They're,
crusty anyway.
They're. Ew. You play the right Hulk Hogan music, and I'm all for it.
We're gonna have that debate. We're gonna let the fans decide. Do we have fans? We have viewers. Let
Sure.
them decide.
I have a fan. I can turn it on right now.
Oh.
Ooh, dust.
But still to this day, I can play Real American, and you talk about getting hulked up, and it's that song does it.
I have been, like I said, 2 years old is when I started watching.
What was there was an old, I think it was Sega.
Sega.
I think it was Sega with the Royal Rumble WWE in it, and it was two people I always came in as that I wanted to come in as, and that was Taker and Hulk. And if I was somebody else, I'd try to get tossed so they'd win.
Yeah.
Because getting to hear the for 10 minutes after you won the Rumble was the greatest thing ever.
Yeah. That Hulk Hogan being the guy for so long made a lot of people Hulk Hogan fans. And I think it's hard for them to deal with the fucking woke group of society these days. Just to deal with them, you'd rather just not argue with them and just enjoy him in your own right. But I'm just sick of hearing the negative about him. He's the reason why anybody's a wrestling fan one way or another. It's like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. It's the 6 degrees of Hulkamania, brother. No matter how you spin it, it's the reason. I don't care. It's the reason it's still here. Because if it wasn't for him, it probably wouldn't even be here.
No, you were 100% right.
We got Hollywood Hogan, the movie Hollywood Hogan guy, with No Holds Barred and Mr. Nanny and Suburban Commando, and later on we got it with Santa with Muscles and the Three Ninjas High Noon at Mega Mountain movie and his TV specials. And he was a 5-time WWF champion. That was a feat all unto himself until 97 when Brett did it. Never had to be the Intercontinental Champion. Would have been pretty cool, but never had to be the Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah, he's not a Grand Slam champion.
No, he's not. And he didn't become a tag champ until the mid 2000s with Edge. And that was that was we're going to be all over the place on this episode, guys. This isn't going to be our normal ones where we follow a time.
Screw it. Let's just have fun.
But you had any Hulk Hogan fan was jealous of Edge that night because we all know Edge was a Hulkamaniac,
Hmm.
but you're the Hulkamaniac that gets to become tag team champions of the world with Hulk Hogan. That's like the greenest envy of anybody that is a Hulkamaniac. It's like, well,
Yeah,
why the fuck? What, huh?
I want to. My turn, right? Me
Yeah, it's
next,
like when do I
please.
get to do that? And it's funny though because and it's funny how his career went. I mean, we get into the early '90s and he's he's ready to do something different. I mean, he's like I said, he's already been a 5-time WWF champion. He gets this move the TV show Thunder in Paradise, which is actually a pretty cool show if you watch it,
Is it?
even for 9 times. It's pretty good. We'll have to watch it one night. I have it on YouTube. Um, and he gets a phone call from Ric Flair about, hey, we're doing this thing down here south in WCW. You want to come talk to us? Ted Turney's willing to throw you a shit ton of money. Well, I'm sorry. And I mean, they took it. And he had demands and he got what he wanted out of it. I'm sorry, but when you're Babe Ruth, you get to call your shots.
Yeah.
So he called his shots. He only wanted to be on a certain amount of pay-per-views. He wanted percentages of the buy rate. He wanted his merchandise. He wanted all of this. Where did he come from? And I know we're not talking about him a lot these days with things going on, but who did he leave to come to WCW to work for? Vince. He learned how to do business through Vince. So he was gonna get everything he possibly could,
Or they weren't gonna get him.
or they wasn't gonna get him, including creative control. Um, and you always hear the stories of that doesn't work for me, brother. Well, when you're invested in your brand so much, if it don't work for you, it don't work for you.
Hmm.
Um, I have heard stories that, as contrary to popular belief, he only ever used his creative control once, which was Bash at the Beach 2000.
That was
We
the
all
one
know how
where
that ended.
Jarrett lays down for him,
It's the one where Jared laid down.
and then he
All the
leaves, and they have the championship fight afterwards.
yes, um, and a lot of the times, and I'm going off of conversations that I've heard stories told between Eric Bischoff and Kevin Nash, two guys that I would believe more than anybody else that do anything of wrestling podcast stuff that will spit the truth no matter what.
Hmm.
Um, and that's that, Hogan saying that doesn't work for me, brother. That wasn't the end of the line of the conversation. It was come back to me with something different. Come back up with a better idea. Um, so I mean, I don't think Hogan gets the wrath of that doesn't work for me, and that's where the story ends. Funny, that's how media works. They take the one little clip of a story and they run with it.
Hmm.
Same thing here. Um, I think the older fans there at the time for WCW and WCW being a different animal. I mean, they are the South. They didn't get the entertainment value of Hulk Hogan at all. So they booed him. Plus, I mean, he basically took out Ric Flair. So they started to resent Hulk Hogan, which I don't blame them. I mean, you guys are Yankees and I'm a Red Sox fan. I resent you, but I don't hate you.
It's
Um,
okay. We're both in for weird years.
and so the thought of, hey, is it time to pull the trigger? Most people don't know this, but late 78, 79, Hulk Hogan was a heel. He was managed by Freddie Blassie and he was a big giant heel. Maybe we should go back to that. And Hulk being Hulk was like, I think that'll hurt my brand. Kind of funny. John Cena said the same thing. But then he saw what was going to happen and he said, hey, I'm your third man and we're off to the races with the NWO.
Would they have Sting as the backup, right?
Sting was supposed to be the third man until Hulk said he was going to be. Me, as a Hulk Hogan fan, I didn't stop hating or stop liking him.
Probably
I
liked him more.
I flipped with him. I stopped wearing yellow and red and started wearing black and white, brother.
So
I wrote
were you an
I
asshole then too?
I got grounded for spray painting NWO on a tree.
That was gonna be my next question, dude.
I literally got in trouble for spray painting NWO on like plyboard that wasn't being used for anything.
This
Just because
is
I
all
thought it
before
was
my
cool.
time. My thing with Hulk Hogan is I played the video games before I was even into watching it. Like I know I have my grandmother worked for the company. There's pictures of me at a company picnic at Rye Playland, but I didn't watch it. My mom forbid us to watch it, and then she disappeared, and I ended up watching it. So
Yeah, she
You
forbidden
mom.
you. She forbidden you from seeing her, so she left.
And now your new mom's helping you go to WrestleMania.
I have a lot of new moms. It's weird.
But
It's nice.
T, back to you with this because me and T's on the same timeline age wise. Was you watching WCW? I mean, I know up here in Canada it's hard to get like TBS and TNT.
It's Sky Sports.
My God, such disrespect for the 14th country, the 14th state in this great union. Such disrespect. Sir, what became very hard for me with
Don't-
watching. Not that, AJ. So,
You married it.
my
That's why it's
father, big
Wife.
bowler. He bowled more than I ever will in my lifetime. Bowled on Monday nights till get done about 8:30.
Yeah, but you bowl a lot because you're good. You don't bowl a lot because you suck.
Well, that's what I'm saying. My father bowled a lot because he was good. I just bowled to have fun. But we would leave the bowling alley 8:30, 8:45, and jet the hell home. Typically grabbing like something to eat on the way home, and throw wrestling on. Now, granted, check your watch there. We're like an hour into most of these Monday night programs, but it instantly became that until it was bedtime, which was the end of the fucking wrestling that night, we were bouncing between commercial breaks and what was interesting and what wasn't. And I did that, I mean, right up until that period where I stopped watching wrestling, which was, I've mentioned that to you guys. I don't think I ever told you why. It had a lot to do with getting a girlfriend. Girlfriend wasn't into it. Girlfriend turned to wife, is now ex-wife. You can worry about that.
We don't.
That was kind of that's where it went away there for a while. But I mean, right up until, I want to say it was right around, it was post invasion, but somewhere in there.
Jesus.
It
So
all
you're
stopped.
talking about 2001.
Like it was Monday Night Wrestling. I mean, obviously SmackDown started whenever the hell SmackDown started.
99.
But I watched wrestling right up until both. Like I said, we were bound. I mean, when WCW ended, it was like, well, what the hell now? Now we don't have anything to bounce between.
I didn't have that problem because I live by the motto of bros before hoes. So I didn't have to worry about what a girlfriend wanted. If anything, it made sure that I was unavailable on Monday nights. For a
Well,
lot of things.
coincidentally, our first date was to all you can eat pizza at the mini golf place on Monday night.
And you both closed the place
And
down.
you just knew right
No.
then and there you gonna marry that woodchuck.
Yeah.
That's just because I was a cheap fucking. It was the cheapest meal I could take her to.
She leaned up against the Ferris wheel.
Right, you know about
Making
me
it
and cheap
tilt.
meals.
Motherfucker, I'm still waiting on lunch.
I got you, pal.
It was supposed to be brunch. Somebody got there late.
It happens. So yeah, I mean, I didn't think this episode won't be a long one for sure.
I mean, we're already at a half hour.
Okay, fine. Whatever. Fuck off. But I mean, this just lets us talk about Hulk Hogan. I mean, we didn't set a parameter on what we were gonna
No.
talk on baseline.
What was your favorite
We know-
feud?
Oh, hands down. It's Hogan Savage, no matter what. I always thought
After they explode.
no matter what, I even beforehand, I think Hogan and Savage always brought out the best in each other.
Mhm.
Hulk and Andre would also be there for me.
So that was
Um,
that. It predates me, but getting to watch it back on tapes, that WrestleMania moment, man, it's just
T-
wow.
TJ, your favorite feud with them?
That's so tough because it's so. I mean,
Because I really enjoyed the explosion of the Mega Powers. I really did. We did that as I think our first episode.
but
We did the
honestly, a
Mega
lot of
Powers.
what he had going
Yeah.
on with Flair, I think that was more for me was the Flair stuff and the Four Horsemen.
All right. Favorite
well,
single wrestling match? Or Ryan, I'll ask that after you do.
and the biggest thing you gotta remember too for the 80s and early 90s, you did TV to draw a house show. So a lot of what you saw from like you never saw Flair versus Hogan in WWF because they did it on the house show loops. And it kind of fizzled out. That's why you never saw it at WrestleMania. Which is kind of funny because it was like, we should have seen that at WrestleMania. Well, evidently it didn't work for the northern market, but Ric Flair was a valuable person to face Hulk Hogan. Why? Because Hulk Hogan's been taking on guys that average height is 6'6", average weight is 375 pounds for the last 10 years. We don't see Ric Flair as a valued opponent for Hulk Hogan. It don't work that way.
That's
Most of
fire.
their names aren't Dick.
Oof.
And so that's one of the big things that was a drawback for Hogan and Flair in WWF. WCW, they went with it because WCW had enough ground where, again, being in the South, Ric Flair was the god and Hulk Hogan's the new guy.
Mm-hmm.
But Hulk Hogan's name was big enough that even in the South, you knew who Hulk Hogan was. Um, so I think that's what made the difference between the feud in WWF compared to WCW. Um, and it was Flair was the reason Hogan came. Flair's the one that connected him and Bischoff together to even remotely talk about contract talks. So go ahead with your question.
Well, my second question, because I like asking these, because it kind of gets like a round perspective of what did you enjoy about him. Um, Not a feud, single match. What was your favorite? It could be a tag team match.
Him or me?
You,
Oh.
you.
Me? Oh,
Yeah.
Hogan and Andre. 1000%.
When he
Hogan
1000%.
Andre WrestleMania 3.
Yeah,
a body slam.
1000%. 1000%. That's the thing I remember. The earliest wrestling memory. And obviously the knowledge I've gained since then about how Hogan had submitted, what they had wanted to do with Andre, and he hadn't heard anything back, and then it went the exact way. It's just the stories you've heard since then. But that match is just iconic. I mean, like if WWE had the the NBA basketball guy on their logo, I feel like if WWE had a person on their logo, it would be Hogan holding Andre. If you could make that not look like a pair of legs and a potato.
I'll change it up a little bit. I'll go. Of course, it's hard for me to pick one Hulk Hogan match to say it's my favorite because I like all of Hulk Hogan's matches. To be honest with you, but the one that always stood out to me that I will go back and watch just because I know of the stories with it is WrestleMania 6, Hulk Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior. Um, it's the first time Hulk Hogan's pinned in like 7 years. Legitimately pinned, not like the Andre false pin finish that happened before WrestleMania 4.
Yeah.
Um, it was supposed to be a passing of the torch, but it was also became one of those ones is you don't know what you got till it's gone. because they wanted to move on from Hulk to the renegade Indian himself, the Warrior, only to find out that he couldn't carry Hulk Hogan's jockstrap, and they had to make the call to drop the belt to Slaughter, and then have Slaughter and Hogan at WrestleMania 7. Um, that originally wasn't supposed to be Slaughter. That was originally supposed to be that whole angle wasn't supposed to be Slaughter. It was supposed to be Tugboat or Typhoon,
Mm-hmm.
who debuted as Tugboat to be kind of Hogan's friend. He was originally supposed to turn on Hogan and become Sheik Tugboat, believe it or not. And they were supposed to head to WrestleMania with that. Of course, that all changed because Ultimate Warrior sucked. I was never ever not an inkling of ever being a Warrior fan. I never liked him. I was always Hulk Hogan 100%. Even when Hogan left to go do the movie when Warrior was champion, I wanted Hulk Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
I the Warrior just didn't do it for me. WCW matches, as far as that goes, Sting and Hogan had their debacle at Starrcade '97. I always liked the Vader Hogan matches from early on in WCW. I thought Vader matched up really well with Hogan, being the big guy, but being a big guy that could move. I always thought that was great. Especially, and then I showed you a couple of weeks ago there around Halloween. I showed you Hogan and the Giant at Halloween Havoc '95. That was fun, and that was Hogan's creative about Big Show basically being Andre's son, the son of the Giant. It worked for a while.
Yeah.
Hell, I think I've seen interviews with Andre where people are with Big Show where people will come up to this day and take pictures with him and say, "Man, I used to watch your dad back when I was a little kid." He's like, "My dad was a plumber or something, and was a blue collar working guy." So
And Boss Man dragged his casket through a cemetery.
yeah, so I just hate the narrative that he faces all the time because I don't think it's deserving. I mean, I understand he used the wrong wording to describe a situation that he was in, but I also think people don't take into a fact that at that point in his life that he was basically at a moment where if he woke up and it was the wrong feeling, he was ready to end it. I mean, that's how deep depressed he was.
Yep.
I mean, he was banging his friend's wife because that's what he wanted to do.
Hey, TJ, are you playing Madden?
No.
But it's one of those things where he gets ridiculed for things, and I really hate when people pick apart things he says. I'm not defending. I'm not defending Hulk Hogan 100% on everything that he says as being outlandish. But for God's sakes, when you've went around the world for 40 years being the top dog, working night in, night out, in different locations in different cities. Yes, he may have misspoke and said I wrestled 400 days a year. Well, motherfuckers, it may have felt like 400 days for
No
him.
shit.
Did he wrestle? Did he say 400 days instead of 400 matches? Probably, but you ridiculed motherfuckers tearing him apart for it, and it's ridiculous. He gets the whole back to the whole racist thing. All I've ever heard is anybody in wrestling that's talked to him or talked about him says the exact opposite. So
Yeah, but nowadays people are defined by one mistake.
Yeah, and I mean, trust me, there's a lot of people, and it's coming to light now, unfortunately, for Vince with his. Never mind. I was gonna say a word that probably wouldn't have been appropriate for that part. Going on with his stuff. You figure out what I was gonna say. That I think there's the dark side of the ring is a real thing, guys, and I think we're getting ready to see. We're gonna pull back the apron of that dark side a lot farther than people thought we were going to.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm proud to be in Hulkamaniac. I will be a Hulkamaniac till the day I die. If I never meet him, I'm okay with that. I've got friends that have told me that they will do whatever they can to get me to meet him. Um,
I've got a question for you, Fry. Hulk Hogan dream match that never happened.
That's actually a really good one. I didn't think of it.
I think that the one everybody leans to is Hogan Austin 1-on-1, and it would have been good.
Hmm.
Um, I don't think I don't they're the styles of both of them would have kind of clashed a little bit. Because
Styles clash.
so because Austin's just so straightforward and brutal and reality based, and Hogan's isn't. Um, that was a good question. You got me kind of stumped.
I mean, you had Hogan
I
Rock, you
I
had Hogan
I I
HBK.
I'll answer it this way. Dream match scenario. I get prime Hulk Hogan in 1990. Like if we're saying we're playing a video game and you
Yeah.
have
Yeah,
as you
I'm
know,
serious. Like the 2K match. Who
then
are you
then
putting together?
then give me prime Hulk Hogan 1990 1991 versus
The guy over your shoulder.
2003 Brock Lesnar.
Okay. I
I think that would have been really good.
With
I
the
asked this
with build.
I asked this question having already debated and answered it with myself. And I'm going to go with one that didn't happen that I think in the right circumstances would be really fun to see, but him and Hunter.
That would have worked. That would have been a very kind of more of a
That was
that would have
my
been
pick T.
that would have been a Flair Hogan type match, but with Hunter being a little bit more physical than Flair. I think that's how that would go, and you could easily put either one of them over. I mean, we got that match at Backlash after WrestleMania 18, but I feel like that was done just to feed egos, so to
Mhm.
speak. Whether it was Hogan's or it was Vince's, I'm not really sure. Um, Another one that would have been really good to see the rematch of. And we did see it because when Hogan dropped the belt to Taker, but it would have been real fun to see Hogan versus Taker like 1997.
Oh, okay.
So you had like 1991, 1992 Hogan Taker, that little thing where Taker wins his first WWF title. And then like if you got like that goth phenom Undertaker versus Hollywood Hulk Hogan, that would have been pretty cool. Because you'd had Hogan as the heel working against Taker. That would have been pretty cool. Heel Hogan in WWF and not WCW would have been interesting. Um, you
Yeah.
see you see what happens when you bring him back as a heel. They bring him back at No Way Out, which we're going to cover in February, and literally everybody in that crowd is cheering for him as a heel to the point that they send him home to get the red and yellow gear and bring it back.
Hmm.
Because the WWF crowd knows Hulk Hogan as Hulk Hogan, not Hollywood Hulk Hogan. But
He still
here's
had the shadow and everything too.
we need to have this, and I think AJ has to be the tiebreaker in this situation. AJ, you got your other screen in front of you.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna give you 30 seconds to listen. We're gonna give you 30 seconds of each of these to listen to.
Okay.
There's a highly debated conversation and I will agree with my main man Cody Rhodes that WCW theme for Hulk Hogan, American made. Block out everything you know about Hulk Hogan and Hulkamania. Just the song alone
Is that the one you have in the Discord?
is
It
the one I
is.
have in Discord.
I've heard it.
Is a better song than Real American.
I think you need to play it right now.
I
I think you need
Yeah,
to play.
can you give the fans 30 and or 15 and 15 and what it needs?
no, no.
Whatever it needs. But you can
WWE.
listen to it, right?
Yeah,
Well, WWE doesn't own either one of the songs. Rick Derringer owns American Made. And
Isn't
I
he the
forget
one that
who
did
wrote.
the other one?
I think Jimmy Hart wrote American Made.
Didn't he sing the other one too?
No, Rick Derringer is the one that did Real American.
I don't have to listen to Real American. I know Real American.
I mean, I'm not saying I hate it. It's just it's not of the two my preferred.
I like his WCW one just a little better. I don't get me wrong. I love Real American. Love it. Love
Well,
it.
everybody does, but I also agree with Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, that American Made is better than Real American.
What do you guys think? Let us know down in the comments or jump over to our Facebook and speak there.
Yeah, the poll will be on the page.
I don't know if you can you do polls on Facebook?
Yes.
Well,
We can do a straw poll in the comment sections if we got to.
I can see one thing. We'd have to make a third option though, because there is
What?
one entrance music we're forgetting.
What, the New World Order?
Well, remember Hollywood Hulk Hogan had separate ring music than the NWO had. The
Even that,
NWO had the NWO music. Hollywood Hulk Hogan had Voodoo Child by Jimi Hendrix.
I don't think.
The guitar solo at the beginning of that is enough. Plus, he would
Doesn't
chop it. Plus, he would chop it down with the edge of his hand, brother.
Only red and yellow.
Only
music
red and yellow
Hogan
songs.
counts.
It's kind of funny. I laugh at that because like it's red and yellow, but like in the '80s, Hogan wore a bunch of different colors. Like I prefer Hulk Hogan, and I like him in all white, and I like the white and the blue that he wore.
I'd like
He
to
wore
see the.
he wore some red and white as well.
I'd like to see the 2K match of Cena versus Hollywood Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, that was another one that I didn't even think about for video game wise is Hulk Hogan. Give me 1990 Hulk Hogan versus 27 or 2007 2008 John Cena. That could be
Golden
fun.
Shovel versus Golden Shovel.
oh shit.
I'm gonna act like you didn't just say Hulk Hogan had a golden shovel. Move on from that.
Oh no, you're right. It wasn't golden. It was yellow and red.
Wow.
I'm gonna
I
kick
love
shit
you,
out of
pal. I love you, pal.
I'm gonna kick you in the dick when I see you.
you.
If it was sitting next to me, I'd have my wrestling buddy with me right now just to drive this home a little further.
Hey Ryan, jump on your phone. Accept that ask to join to Wrestling Over Everything from the Wrestling with Nerds podcast page. But yeah, do we have anything else for Mr. Real American or Mr. American Made? Because I am very
There
happy with
is
this episode,
not-
even though I basically shut the fuck up the whole time.
With this Royal Rumble really drove it home for me. I'm going to tie this into our Royal Rumble episode. Hogan being and it goes to the game currently coming out. There is not a voice from professional wrestling, sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it. There is not a voice more iconic or more I hear it and I have to look and see what it is and why it's happening than Hulk Hogan. There isn't anyone. Which is you'd think, even though he's going through all his stuff right now, that Vince's voice is up there too, but nothing touches that Hulk Hogan, just anything. It doesn't matter what he's doing. You hear it. It's what is that? Why? Why? Where do I see? Where's it coming from?
Does Hulk Hogan have a rightful spot on your Mount Rushmore?
Yes.
You assume I didn't just create it for him.
Him, Flair, Austin.
Now, see, I like this from you. Keep going.
Hulk, Flair, Austin. And I hate that I'm putting him up here. Hate. Okay, maybe I really don't hate, but obviously he's got a lot of shit going on right now. Wrestling wouldn't be wrestling without VMK.
Oh my God, you did it again.
VKM.
Jesus Christ. Oh.
AJ and acronyms, people.
I am dyslexic.
Before you do initials,
Write
again,
it down.
Write it out on paper before you try to speak it.
You know, I will probably write it down wrong too. Just saying.
T, go ahead. I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear your 4.
It's Hogan. It's Taker. It gets tougher here. Stone Cold. And Hunter. And I say that only because Shawn went away. Rightfully so with injuries, but if Shawn never goes away, the two of them are fighting for that spot.
Yeah. For me, it's Hogan. For me, it's also Andre. I don't really think anybody of the last 25, 23 years deserves to be on the Mount Rushmore at this point. They ain't been there long enough to even make that establishment.
So that keeps Austin off.
No.
You said 30.
Austin was before 2000.
I thought you said 30 years.
I tell you though, there is somebody that's slowly creeping their way towards it.
You put your arm down.
No.
Randy's
not
there.
Him. It wasn't Randy for me.
Really?
Randy's if Mount Rushmore was like, if we're doing our starting 6 in the NBA, now Randy's in the picture. I say starting 6 because you have to have one bench guy.
I think my 4 for Mount Rushmore is pretty easy, and it's just because that's the one I grew up on. It's Hogan, Andre, Austin, Rock. And even Rock more than Austin. I remember Austin's career in WWE was only 8 years. I mean, it came in with a bang, and it left with a drop in the ball. But The Rock has done.
Good one.
The Rock has done equal amount to what Hulk Hogan did for professional wrestling. The only difference being that The Rock had social media to use as a platform.
And I tell you, I think the legacy will be there when it's over. We're still in it, so you can't tell. But I honestly think Cody Rhodes and all he has done so far in a short amount of time someday may be in this conversation.
Uh-oh. Ryan screaming poo-poo.
He was playing with something.
But yeah. Ryan, can you still hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can't see you though.
I have no clue what just happened.
Yeah, well.
But anyhow,
your assessment of the Cody comment?
I don't disagree with you. I think you have to do it Mount Rushmore's in eras. To be fair.
I'm fair with that. I like that.
I feel like that's what needs to be happening because there's too many people to put 4 people on a spot.
That changes things for me drastically.
I mean, you could easily for the 2000s put Cena, Brock, Randy, Hunter. That's your 4 for the
You
2000s.
you could also put Attitude Era.
Attitude Era is kind of easy. It's Rock, Austin, Taker, Hunter.
Right.
I mean, if you're doing 90s, you can take Hunter off and put Shaw or put Brett there.
If you just do the beginning of wrestling for me, it's suddenly it's Hogan, Taker, Bret Hart, and some combination of either Shawn or the Bulldog.
Some reason my shit's not working.
It probably tried connecting to the other one again.
Oh yeah.
We can see your backdrop now.
It doesn't matter.
No, I'm saying it went away there for a minute.
But
no, like if you, and I don't know why he doesn't. I feel like he should be on here, and I can't figure out how to slot him in because a lot of what he did was beforehand. But Roddy Piper needs to be up here somehow.
But yeah, if you have your 80s one could definitely be Andre, Hulk, Piper. And I am not, and I wasn't burying him earlier. I don't want to hear that either. I never liked Ric Flair. I never was a Ric Flair guy because I like the entertainment factor. Sorry.
So you go in Savage instead
No.
of.
If I had to pick 4 for a Mount Rushmore for 80s, it's Hogan, Andre, Piper, Dusty. Dusty was way better on the microphone than even Ric Flair was. And Dusty and Hulk are all Dusty, Hulk, and Savage have always been my favorites because they could talk. And I didn't have to worry about hearing about their $1,000 suits, their these alligator. I can't keep these alligators down or whatever bullshit he was talking about. That didn't work for me. I like Dusty with Son of a Plumber, wined and dined with kings and queens, slept in alleys. Sorry, Cody, you did say it wrong. It is wined and dined with kings and queens, slept in alleys, feeding on pork and beans. I like Dusty because Dusty reminded me of my grandfather a lot during his WWF run about being a real American and just a common man, that kind of stuff. He reminded me of my grandfather a lot now that I look back on it more. So Dusty's always special to me, not just because of what he's done with the NXT kids and all that stuff. Just his presence enough has made him special for me. But anyhow, we're talking about Hulk Hogan here.
Well, I thought we were done with talking about Hulk Hogan.
Well, we are. We're wrapping her up there, Leroy. We're in the 5th inning.
Are we doing a game this week, or can I throw one at you?
If you make it quick,
I'm going to throw one at you it's another Mount Rushmore. But this one I'm curious of your opinion. It's not a Mount Rushmore for what they did in the ring. A Mount Rushmore of
wrestlers in movies.
No, deeper than that. People that moved the business forward. And I'll give you an example for what I know and from what I've learned a lot recently. People I would consider on my Mount Rushmore: Pat Patterson, Dream, Cody, now having started essentially that move for AEW. People like that, Fry. I'm curious of your Mount Rushmore of Hunter with the Performance Center, Dusty with the Performance Center.
Happy he's asking you because flatline.
Mine would be on the narrative of, like you said, somebody that always pushed the business forward, that always put the business in front of their own personal wants or needs. So my 4 would be, I would agree with Pat because without him, we don't get Royal Rumble and we don't get WrestleMania. Instead, we get some different pay-per-view in January, and then in March and April, we'd all be going to the the Wrestle Tussle. Who was the other one you said? You said
Uh,
Pat and you said Dusty. I would give you Dusty. Dusty groomed and bred a lot of wrestlers even before the NXT. Um, so I would give it to Dusty on that part.
well, and how much he was involved with WCW for that whole forever. I mean,
Yeah,
it seems like wherever Dusty went, he had a hand in
I
the soup.
I would do it as the two guys from in the office standpoint would be Pat and Dusty. In ring, Undertaker, 100% always put business first.
That's why he was the
Um,
judge.
Another
Locker room
guy,
leader.
another guy that would do that, and he could win the world title on Sunday and drop it on Monday as long as it was in the for the business and it was in the ring, and that was Randy Savage. Um, Randy always had a line: "You win them in the ring, you lose them in the ring. So let's go out there. Look at my name on my boots." So Randy always put business first. I can't wait till we deep dive Randy. That's gonna be fun.
You would have
But
to take drugs for that.
so this is Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan will always be number one for me. There will never be anybody that takes the place of number one.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what, I have it stamped on my skin that Hulkamania will live forever. Yes, I have a Hulk Hogan tattoo on my calf that I got when I was underage and probably should have waited longer to get it, but still, it was a fun time. Um, I just wanted to come out. I just wanted to be able to speak my side, my thoughts on the whole thing. You see it everywhere where he gets buried on stuff, and it's just like it's kind of ridiculous. Like I said at the beginning, there's proof that even your other favorites have used the language that he's used, but they wasn't in dire straight times of need either.
I think that honestly, Fry, I think that may be just because that they weren't as popular. It's a lot easier
Well,
to throw
I,
the guy at the
I
top under the bus.
I think it's also easy to throw somebody under the bus when there's video of it and not just three people account for him saying it. Oh yeah, he said it all right. Um, but then again, and to what I've seen, Ric Flair does no wrong to anybody anyway, so it doesn't matter. Maybe if Brooke was what Charlotte was, the roles would be different. Who knows? But I'm proud that I've experienced. I'm 36, but I've probably experienced all 40 years of Hulkamania just watching it back. Um,
Doesn't surprise me.
I'm hoping to one day go to Orlando to go to Hogan's beach shop and have a chance to meet Hulk Hogan. I know that famous line of "never meet your idols" because you're gonna be disappointed. I'm not gonna be disappointed. Um, I have I have lived as a I'm proud to be in Hulkamaniac. There's only two guys in this entire business. Three guys in this entire business that when their ring music hits at any time, I get goosebumps. Um, and now that's Cody.
Wrestling has more than one royal family.
Well, good thing is we have all three of them. The second one would be The Rock.
If you smell what the rock is cooking.
And it's when Hulk Hogan's music hits. I knew that was the only one we had, so I knew it was the one he's playing. But it's fun. It's kind of funny how we're talking about this in January of 2024. January of 2023, they had, was it Raw 30?
Mm-hmm.
The 30th anniversary Raw.
You were
I
there.
have I never have seen Hulk Hogan in person in general. I tried really, really, really hard when Hogan and Shawn Michaels had their SummerSlam match because it was in DC. I tried so hard to get my dad to get tickets to go to it, and it never happened. I actually didn't speak to my dad for 2 weeks after the fact because he didn't give me tickets to it. But Raw 30 was in January, and I wasn't gonna go. I was in Philly, and he hadn't been announced yet, and I had just got this weird feeling like you need to go to Raw 30. You need to be there. I knew Cody wasn't back yet, so there was really nobody on the card I really wanted to see. But it was like you need to go there. And I think I told you guys like Raw was on Monday and I bought my tickets on Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you
I
missed the
drove
fucking
up there.
broadcast for it.
I drove on Saturday. I bought the tickets on Saturday and it wasn't but like 45 minutes later it was announced that Hulk Hogan was going to be on Monday Night Raw for Raw 30. So it was like, oh, I guess somebody was looking out for me and told me, hey, you need to go to this. And I went to it, and he was the first guy out there. And I was by myself. I usually go to wrestling events by myself. Or WrestleMania will be the first time I go with somebody, not my wife.
Excuse me?
Um, I wasn't sitting with you at Money in the Bank, Dickwad.
But we were there together. We hung out.
Whatever. I sat up in the nosebleeds by myself when you guys sat down wherever you were. But when his music hit, it was kind of funny. There was two, I would say there were 5 or 6 year old kids sitting there, and all they wanted to do was see Roman or Seth or any of them kind of guys. They were cheering on them. And when Hulk Hogan's music hit at the very beginning, I was a 6 year old kid again, standing next to them, hopping up and down, jumping. I was I was giggling like a schoolgirl. I may have had a tear in my eye, but he's just special to me. And nobody will ever understand that how special he is.
You sound like you're about to start like tearing up and everything.
I'm a Hulkamaniac to the day I die. My wife laughs that it will be on my tombstone.
But I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if your tombstone is red and yellow.
I told her, I said it won't happen because by then they'll just be launching us into outer space like they do in the movies. So, uh, yes, Hulk Hogan is special. He is my favorite of all time. You're not going to convince me otherwise to change my mind on that. So, I'm happy to do this episode.
All right, well, that's our Wrestling with Nerds episode. Have a nice weekend, everybody. Ryan, there's one more thing you need to do in the soundboard before we close it out.
Oh yeah, guys, I just want you to know something. I need to make sure you guys follow the three commandments to live by in your day-to-day life. So TJ, I hope your ears are open and you live by these 3 commandments.
Your prayers, eat your vitamins, be true to yourself, true to your country, be a real American.
Thank you.
Sure, that was only 3. I counted 5.
Well, the other parts, the last 2 was just for the Real American song that you were playing in the background.
Bye, everybody. Hit that like button, subscribe, buy some merch, go join our Facebook page.